Welcome to Infidelity Love, where love burns, lies unravel, and secrets always come to light. If you crave stories filled with passion, betrayal, heartbreak, and revenge, then you're in the right place. Here, every twist cuts deep, and every episode keeps you begging for more. Subscribe now and dive into the dangerous world where love and deception collide. Once upon a time, in a small town called Maplewood, there lived a woman named Callista Mayfair. Callista was a mother of two little boys, Elric and Fen, and the wife of a kind, quiet man named Judson Mayfair. Judson loved his family more than anything in the world. He worked hard at a small woodshop in town, building chairs and tables with his rough, gentle hands. But no matter how hard he worked, the money was never enough. The roof leaked when it rained, the car made funny sounds, and sometimes there was only bread and butter for dinner. Callista didn't like this life. She was beautiful, with golden hair that shone like the sun and green eyes like glass marbles. She dreamed of big cities, shiny cars, and fancy clothes. She believed Judson would never give her that life. Every night, when Judson came home dusty and tired, Callista would frown. "It will get better, Callie," Judson would say, holding her hand. "One day, things will turn around, I promise." But Callista didn't believe him. One stormy evening, when Judson came home with wet boots and a tired smile, Callista was nowhere to be found. Elric and Fen sat at the kitchen table, their bellies empty and their faces sad. "Where's your mama?" Judson asked softly. Elric shook his head. "She went out." Judson's heart felt heavy, like a big stone. This wasn't the first time. Callista had been sneaking out a lot. She wore her red dress, sprayed on her sweet-smelling perfume, and left while the boys slept. She always came back late, her lipstick smudged, her eyes bright like she had secrets. What Judson didn't know was that Callista had met a man named Beaumont Crane. Beaumont was rich with a sharp jaw and hair as dark as midnight. He drove a shiny car and lived in a house with glass walls and a swimming pool that sparkled like diamonds. He told Callista pretty lies, calling her the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen. He promised her the world, and Callista believed him. She started to think about leaving Judson and the boys behind. She told herself it was for the best, that the boys would be fine. But deep down, a small voice whispered, "Is this right?" One cold night, Judson followed Callista. He saw her get into Beaumont's shiny car. Judson's heart cracked, but he didn't stop her. He went home, kissed his sleeping boys, and sat alone at the table, staring at the flickering lamp. The next morning, Callista didn't come home. Elric and Fen woke up hungry, crying for their mother. Judson sighed, wiped his tears, and said, "Boys, I'm here. Don't worry." At Beaumont's house, Callista realized things weren't as shiny as they seemed. Beaumont had other women. He didn't want her forever. He wanted her for a while. Callista's stomach twisted. She missed her boys. She missed Judson's rough hands and soft voice. She remembered the way Fen giggled when Judson lifted him high, how Elric liked to follow his dad around the woodshop. Suddenly, the fancy house felt cold. Beaumont's promises sounded empty. Callista wanted to go home, but when she arrived at the small house in Maplewood, something strange happened. The door was locked, the lights were off, and a woman named Meriwether Sloane, a widow from across town, was inside helping Judson with dinner. She was kind, plain, and gentle. She smiled at the boys and wiped their faces. Judson looked peaceful. Callista's heart pounded. Was she too late? She hid behind a tree, her face wet with tears, and in that moment she realized she had been chasing shadows. The story doesn't end here. Because that night something unexpected happened that changed everything. Would Judson forgive her? Would the boys want her back? Would Beaumont let her go so easily? And what secret was Meriwether Sloane hiding, one that would shake the whole town of Maplewood before the sun rose again? Callista stayed behind the big old tree, her hands shaking like little leaves when the wind blows. She watched as Meriwether Sloane laughed softly inside the house. The warm, yellow light made the small kitchen glow like a candle in the dark. Elric sat on Judson's lap, and Fen clapped his hands as Merryweather brought out a pie. Callista felt a deep, strange pain in her chest. She had wanted shiny things, big houses, fast cars, sparkling clothes, but this simple moment, this small happy family without her, made her heart hurt more than anything. She wanted to run inside. She wanted to scream and hold her boys, but fear glued her feet to the ground. Then a cold hand touched her shoulder. Callista spun around. It was Beaumont Crane. His sharp jaw was tight and his eyes were like dark glass. "You think you can just run away from me, Callista," he hissed. "I don't want this anymore," she whispered. "I want my family back." Beaumont laughed, a scary, empty sound. "You made your choice, and now you belong to me." Callista's legs felt weak. She shook her head. "You don't own me, Beaumont. I made a mistake. Let me go." Beaumont leaned closer. "It doesn't work that way, darling." Then from the dark, another voice spoke. "Leave her alone." It was Judson. He stood by the wooden fence holding a piece of firewood in his hand like a weapon. His face was calm, but his eyes burned like fire. "How long were you standing there?" Callista asked, her voice breaking. "Long enough," Judson said softly, "to see the truth." Beaumont smirked. "This is between me and her, old man." Judson stepped forward. "You need to leave town, Beaumont. Right now." Beaumont looked around, and for the first time, he seemed a little afraid. This wasn't his world. Here, in this quiet town, people talked, and secrets never stayed secrets for long. Without another word, Beaumont turned and walked away, disappearing into the dark. Callista started crying. She fell to her knees in the cold grass. "I ruined everything, Judson," she sobbed. "I didn't believe you. I didn't trust you when you said it would get better. I was selfish, and I hurt you and the boys." Judson didn't move. The night was quiet, except for the soft wind and the hoot of an owl. Inside the house, Merryweather held Elric and Fen, watching from the window. But what Callista didn't know, and what no one knew, was that Merryweather Sloane wasn't just a kind neighbour. She had a secret of her own, a secret about Judson, a secret about a letter, and about a promise made many years ago, one that could change everything. The past wasn't finished with any of them, and something was coming, something that would test them all. The cold night air wrapped around Callista like a wet blanket. Her knees pressed into the dirt as she cried, her hair messy and tangled. Judson just stood there, holding the piece of firewood, his face hard like stone, but his eyes swimming with something soft. Neither of them spoke. Then the front door opened. Merryweather Sloane stepped out holding a lantern. The light made her plain face look gentle, but there was something in her eyes, something deep, something hidden. "Elric and Fen are asleep," Merryweather said softly. Callista wiped her face with the back of her hand. "Are they okay?" Merryweather gave a slow nod, then looked at Judson. "I think it's time you tell her, Judson." Judson's jaw tightened. "Not now." "Yes, now," Merryweather said, her voice stronger this time. "She deserves to know." Callista's heart skipped. "Know what?" she asked, her voice trembling. Judson sighed, looking up at the sky like he was asking it for help. Then, he slowly lowered the firewood and leaned against the fence. "Merryweather isn't just a neighbour," he said quietly. "Years ago, before I met you, she and I were close." Callista's stomach twisted. "What do you mean, close?" Merryweather stepped forward, her eyes gentle but firm. "I was going to marry Judson, a long time ago. But I left town. I was scared. I ran away." Judson nodded, his voice low. "I thought she was gone for good. Then years later I met you, Callista. I fell in love with you." Callista's head spun. The night felt too big, the stars too bright. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because it didn't matter anymore," Judson said. "Until now." Merryweather took a deep breath and reached into her coat pocket. She pulled out an old folded letter. I kept this, she whispered. A letter Judson wrote to me before I left. He never knew I got it. Callista stared at the paper like it might bite her. Merriweather handed it to Judson. You should read it. Judson unfolded the letter with shaking hands. His eyes scanned the page, and his face softened. It says, Judson cleared his throat, if you ever come back, I'll still be here, but if you don't, I hope you find peace. A heavy silence filled the night. Callista's throat felt dry. So, you still care about her? Judson looked up, his eyes shiny with tears. I don't know. I cared. A long time ago. But now, my heart belongs to my boys, and it used to belong to you. Callista felt like a piece of glass, cracked and ready to shatter. Suddenly a voice came from the darkness behind them. Is everything okay out here? It was Pastor Linden, the old preacher from the town's little church. He stood by the gate holding a walking stick. His eyes were sharp, like he already knew more than anyone had told him. You folks might want to come by the church tomorrow, Pastor Linden said, his voice low and knowing. There's things happening in this town, secrets buried too long, and the storm ain't over yet. Without waiting for an answer, the old man turned and vanished into the misty night. The three of them stood there cold and quiet. The wind made the trees whisper. None of them knew what was coming next. But something was. Something that would turn Maplewood inside out. The wind grew colder. The leaves rustled like they were whispering secrets to one another. Judson, Callista, and Merriweather stood in heavy silence, their faces pale under the dim glow of Merriweather's lantern. Callista's heart wouldn't stop pounding. Her eyes flicked between Judson and Merriweather, the letter, the old feelings, the broken promises. And now Pastor Linden's strange warning. What did he mean? Callista asked, her voice a soft, shaky whisper. What things? What secrets? Merriweather held her breath, her face turning pale. Judson dropped his eyes to the ground like he was searching for the right words there. Maplewood. It's not the town you think it is, Callista, Judson finally spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. What are you talking about? She asked. Judson opened his mouth, but before he could speak, a sharp cry pierced the night. It came from inside the house. It was Fen. Judson bolted toward the front door, Callista right behind him, her bare feet slapping against the cold wooden porch. Merriweather rushed after them, the lantern swinging wildly in her hand. They burst inside. The house was dark, the lamp on the table flickering. Elric was sitting up in bed, his face twisted with fear. But Fen was gone. The small bed was empty, the covers tossed aside. The window, which had been shut tight, was wide open, the curtain fluttering like a ghost's hand in the wind. Fen! Callista screamed, her voice cracking. Judson's blood turned to ice. He grabbed a flashlight from the shelf and ran out the door, calling his son's name. Merriweather dropped the lantern and followed. Callista stumbled to the window, her trembling hands gripping the cold frame. And there, in the soft mud beneath the window, were small footprints. But they weren't alone. Next to the tiny footprints were bigger ones. Someone had taken Fen. Callista's knees gave out. She fell to the floor, her hair falling around her face. No, no, no. Merriweather crouched beside her. We'll find him. I swear we'll find him. Judson's voice shouted from outside. Callista, come see this! Callista, shaking, got up and hurried out the front door with Merriweather. Judson stood by the big oak tree near the fence, his flashlight pointing at something nailed to the trunk. It was a note. A crooked, torn piece of paper with words scratched in messy black ink. Bring the letter to the church, or you'll never see the boy again. The wind howled, the leaves twisted in the air, and, somewhere far off, an owl called. Judson's face turned grim. It's starting. What's starting? Callista whispered, tears sliding down her cheeks. Merriweather took a step back, her face pale as snow. I was afraid of this, she said quietly. They've come back. Who? Callista asked, her lips trembling. Merryweather swallowed hard. The ones who buried the town's secrets and swore no one would ever speak of them again. Callista's lips trembled as she clutched the note. The wind whipped her hair across her face, and fear made her stomach twist into tight knots. Who are they, Merryweather? Judson's voice was sharp, his face dark with worry for his missing son. Merryweather's eyes glistened with tears. They're the old ones, the people who built this town, who did terrible things to keep it peaceful. They promised never to let certain secrets come out. And now, someone's trying to finish what they started. Callista looked back at the house. They took my baby, she whispered. Judson grabbed her shoulders. Listen to me, Callista. You're going to help me fix this. But you need to be brave. For the first time, Callista felt something inside her break. The selfishness, the greed, the anger, the years she spent chasing things that didn't matter. She nodded slowly. I'll do anything, she said. Anything to get my boy back. They raced toward the old church. It was a broken, leaning building at the edge of town. The wind howled through the open windows, and the doors hung off their hinges. Inside, the church was empty, except for a single figure sitting in the front pew. It was Beaumont Crane. He held Fen in his arms. The boy was crying, his tiny face wet with tears. You should have left, Callista, Beaumont said softly. You should have stayed away. Give me my son, Callista shouted. Judson raised the firewood again, but Beaumont stood, lifting a small, sharp knife to Fen's throat. One step closer and he gets hurt, Beaumont hissed. Callista's heart nearly stopped. Please, please don't hurt him. Take me instead. Take anything, just don't hurt my child. Beaumont's eyes narrowed. The letter. Where's the letter? Merryweather stepped forward and threw the old letter on the floor. It's here. Take it. But leave the boy. Beaumont bent down to pick it up, his eyes scanning the paper, his face twisted with rage. This was supposed to stay buried forever, he growled. I promised them. Judson crept forward, his muscles tense. You promised who? Beaumont sneered. The town council. The ones before you. They hurt people, made them disappear. And this letter, this proves Judson knew. They'll kill me if this gets out. Callista's voice was shaking. Then let my son go. Please. Beaumont hesitated, and in that moment Fen bit his hand, hard. The knife clattered to the floor. Judson rushed forward and tackled Beaumont, slamming him to the ground. Merryweather scooped up Fen, hugging the boy tight. It's okay, baby. It's okay. The sheriff arrived minutes later. Pastor Linden was with him, holding another letter in his hand. It's time Maplewood cleaned up its sins, Pastor Linden said gravely. Beaumont was taken away, muttering about secrets and curses. The sheriff promised to open an investigation into the town's dark history. Later, back at the house, Judson tucked Fen and Elric into bed. Callista sat alone outside, staring at the stars. Merryweather sat beside her. I ruined everything, Callista whispered. No, Merryweather said gently. You lost your way, but you found it again. Judson stepped outside, his face soft in the moonlight. He reached out his hand. Come inside, Callista. Let's start over. Tears filled her eyes as she took his hand. Moral lesson. Greed and selfishness can blind us to the things that truly matter. Family is worth more than money, status, or shiny things. It's never too late to admit you were wrong, say sorry, and fight for those you love. Thank you for watching. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching and supporting my videos. Your time, your comments, and your love mean everything. Every view, like, and share keeps this channel alive, and I couldn't do it without you. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps bring even more passionate, emotional, and unforgettable love stories to life. Stay tuned for more drama, romance, and unexpected twists. Until next time, keep loving, keep feeling, and keep watching. Much love, Infidelity, love.